everybody. Thanks for joining us during what is your lunch hour here on WPTV's social media streaming services. I don't know if you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or what have you, but we're happy to have you here. What we're going to have right now is just a discussion about a story that I worked on this past month for the station called Where's the Hair? As you see there, the title also over my shoulder. It ran for the first time last night, but it took an interesting look at something that we've been experiencing not only here in South Florida, but kind of around the world as a side effect of the pandemic. And it's not a direct side effect of necessarily COVID-19, but something that we've all experienced over the past year and a half. So as we continue to talk about it, feel free to make use of the comment section. That's right there. We're going to be answering your questions if we can. But I also want to introduce one of our guests for today, somebody who was pretty instrumental in making this happen, Miss Evelyn Metellus. She is joining us. She owns the Hair Doctor Salon in the Wellington Mall, and you've been a licensed cosmetologist for more than 20 years, and you also have a background in nursing. You've done a little bit of everything, right, Evelyn?
Yes.
But right now, she pays the bills by running the salon, offers a lot of salon services, but also, when you were telling me, non-surgical hair treatment.
Replacement.
Right. Okay, so without further ado, just so people have a background of what we're talking about, I want to just go ahead and play the clip of the story that ran last night. It's about 3 minutes long, but it gives you a better sense of what we're talking about today.
One thing we can all agree on, this pandemic has been stressful, with that capital letters. In some cases, it might cause you to pull your hair out, quite literally.
That's right. As WPTV's Gilmore tells us, doctors are actually seeing hair shed on its own, begging the question, where is the hair?
As the pandemic carries on, so is business for salons and dermatologists in our area. Doctors like Miranda Rosenberg say business is particularly good for patients with a certain issue, hair thinning and loss. Do you have people who specifically come in about like hair loss or hair thinning issues?
Every day.
Certified physician's assistant at Gardens Dermatology, Nicole Hestaba, has also observed the phenomenon.
In the last year to year and a half, the number of patients suffering from hair loss has really skyrocketed. And I think that directly correlates to the pandemic and the stress that people are experiencing.
Certain hormones like cortisol are created in response to stress, and in large concentrations, it can make it more difficult for the body to grow and regrow hair.
We're seeing more and more patients coming in concerned about their hair loss, wanting to figure out what's going on and how they can help fix it.
Hair loss can be triggered by physical or emotional trauma caused by, but not limited to, things like COVID, another medical emergency, loss of a loved one, or a romantic breakup, all of which can lead to seeing more hair in the drain.
And it can be any type of stress. For some patients, it's something like having a surgery. It can be even something like moving apartments.
For Bonnie Lovett, it was getting diagnosed this year with brain cancer.
It just really, really hurt.
Lovett underwent radiation just weeks after her diagnosis and also experienced hair loss, but the blows brought on by the pandemic kept coming.
My company closed my office where I worked, so now I also didn't have a place to work on top of everything else. So more and more hair was coming out of my head.
She says radiation only accounts for part of her shedding.
I had no bangs and I had no hair from here down, okay? So never mind having all the hair I lost, now I'm losing more hair and it's thinning out. Because economically, financially, socially, emotionally, it was just tearing me apart with the stress.
Stress and shedding. Dr. Rosenberg says there's a name for it, telogen effluvium. Rosenberg says the signs of it may seem out of the blue for patients.
One of the most common things, especially with regard to hair, is a phenomenon called telogen effluvium. When we think about that with the rule of threes, it means that 3 months after a very stressful event, people will begin to lose approximately 1/3 of their hair over a period of 3 months.
For people like Lovett, going through a tough time amidst the pandemic can make managing stress difficult.
It's very traumatic to be losing your hair. And as you're going through more and more of that emotional trauma,
Lovett says she gets by with something more than medicine.
the one thing I do have is my faith in God, you know, and that kept me going because I'm a strong warrior woman, you know, and that was the only thing I could hold on to because everything else was falling apart.
Faith in growth and recovery. In West Palm Beach, Chris Gilmore, WPTV News Channel 5. All right, so that was the quick story. I wanted to definitely bring in, I would be remiss if I didn't bring Evelyn in, though, because you are the owner of the salon that we saw a lot of those shots taken care of. A lot of those customers are your customers, your close
Yes.
friends who you deal with on a regular basis, and you deal with hair. And I'm also going to be reading the comments as they come in. One I see from Kathy. Neither Evelyn and I are medical experts. Evelyn has the cosmetology expertise, but I can tell you that from the research that I did for this story, we're talking about stress. So if you had a stressful reaction to your COVID shot, if I know some people had intense side effects, that can be a stress inducer. If you get sick, that can be stressful. If you have to take time off work, that can be stressful. And Evelyn, you're telling me that you see a lot of your clients come in stressed out, right?
Yes, especially the ones that's been dealing with COVID. And it's strange because it's after 2 to 6 months, now they losing their hair. So I
So do
have
they
to
come
find
in?
a way to help them.
Do they come in kind of not knowing exactly what caused it because it's 2 or 3 months after the fact, right?
Yeah, they don't know. I normally refer them to a medical doctor. Then they diagnose, and I would help them with some type of non-surgical hair replacement, something to help them manage better.
And what the doctor said in the video is, yeah, about 3 months after whatever the stressful incident was, you'll start noticing. And she said about 30% of your hair can shed, which is that's a lot. That's a lot of hair. But then it also takes about 3 months for it to grow back if you remove yourself from the stressful situations. So think about it: 3 months to wait for your hair to come back. That's a long time, right?
It is, especially the younger clients. It's very devastating. It's stressful for them, and I sympathize with them.
And so you're there to help them out. We talked about it earlier. Like, you're by profession, you're a licensed cosmetologist, but a lot of these people, they're coming looking for emotional support, right?
Yes, they do. Like the clients you interview, Bonnie Lovett. It was a long journey with her before she even go to radiation. I had to prepare her what's going to happen to her hair, and I had to create a unit for her, 1 or 2 units. And while she was in radiation, she sent me pictures of what's going on, and I get to see exactly the time frame of the hair loss. So it's very emotional for men and women to lose their hair.
And that's important that you bring it up. It's not just women that experience that. And yeah,
Men.
Kathy, thanks for your comments. Stress, it affects a lot of people,
Stress.
men and women. I do want to pull up, though, that we are talking about stress and that big word that they brought up, telogen effluvium. But Asia, I think we have one of the links that shows the different types of hair loss that they are. I learned a lot throughout this process that there's different kinds of alopecia. There's androgenic alopecia, which is kind of the male pattern baldness that we see. For instance, most of the men that are over a certain age in my family have kind of the balding all around the crown here. And so that part is genetic. And there we have the link I was talking about, alopecia areata. That's kind of the patchy circles. Have you seen that amongst your clients too?
Yes, I have many of them.
And then also we see the chemotherapy-induced alopecia anagen effluvium. That's what Bonnie and another one of your clients that I spoke to that I was there, Candace, she was talking about as well.
Yes.
But people come to you looking for answers, right? They're like, hey, my hair is falling out or has fallen out. What can I do? And that unit that we saw Bonnie wearing, is that one of yours that you put together for her?
Yes, I make 2 units for her. One was custom made, and one I made by myself for her with lots of love because I wanted her to look like herself afterwards. And she does. She's very happy.
I don't know if you could see over my shoulder, but that's one of your units too, I believe.
Yes.
Up in your shop. So you do it all. You're a full service salon, right?
It is a full service salon, and I have my own product line we created that helps client. We don't just do the wigs and the products. We also use in light therapy. We
How does that
use a
work?
lot
How
of different things.
does the light therapy work, Evelyn?
The light therapy works after they seek medical treatment, and they can suggest what to do. A lot of time they don't get anywhere, so they'll come back. I'll do weekly treatment for them, and the light therapy been helping them. We have blue light, red light, green light for different reasons depending what caused the hair loss, and it works.
Yeah, I've seen all kinds of treatments. I saw the lights when I was in your salon. It was impressive. I've never seen those before. But if we could pull up the link that has the different kinds of treatments for telogen effluvium, I learned a lot through talking through you and the rest of the professionals that were featured in the story. I believe one of them, minoxidil, which is you have to get prescribed from a doctor, but also lots of different oils and vitamins. I know that you have your own product line, Evelyn, that you sell through your store. People can look that up through the hair doctor if they're interested. But also there's a one line there, clearing your scalp, making sure you have a fully moisturized scalp. It's kind of sounds like exactly what your mom would tell you to do. Wash your hair, condition your hair, make sure that your hair is not starving for moisture. And there's that minoxidil that we were talking about that kind of jumpstarts that hair regrowth process. MK saying it's not stress, it's a direct immune response that causes follicle inflammation. There's again, we're talking about specifically telogen effluvium, MK. There's a lot of different types of shedding and baldness that we're talking about, but the one that we're talking about from the pandemic, telogen effluvium, which is stress induced. We also talked with the doctor about a lot of different stress hormones. Speaking of what you're talking about, responses from the body to other stressors, cortisol causes a lot of stress. If you are interested in learning more, you could go to the hair doctor, Evelyn here, but also the board certified doctor who I spoke to, the dermatologist, the story, Dr. Miranda Rosenberg. She has a practice here in West Palm Beach. She was a wealth of information. I wish I had more time to include a second piece of the story, but yes, there's no one singular type of balding, which is a big point to the story. Balding is caused, and there's balding, there's thinning, and there's shedding. So what we're talking about with the telogen effluvium, or that stress-induced balding, is what we called it. It's actually shedding, is what we're learning, because you've experienced it in your clients. Dr. Rosenberg also told me it can come back. It's not, a lot of people are worried, or, it's an emotional thing. They think that their hair is not going to come back once they see it fall out in clumps after that 3-month process. It can come back. It might not be the same texture or quality, but it's a whole process. There's, I don't know the specific phases because I had to become a quick student of this, but there's different phases of hair growth. Telogen is like the last phase. Anagen is one of the phases, and then there's another phase. But yeah, it's I got a whole little dermatology lesson in doing this whole thing. But another very interesting facet that I learned about what's going on in our community in terms of helping people recover emotionally and physically from hair loss, thinning, balding, and shedding is what people like Evelyn are doing. And not only is the hair doctor a business, but Evelyn, you also have a foundation. Tell us about that, how it started, and what you do.
When I started business in Royal Palm Beach and I saw it was a great need, we started by donating 1 week, once a month, to anyone that cannot afford a unit. We have to be very careful with hair loss because we cannot just always braid the hair or do sewing the hair. The extensions can pull the hair as well. So a lot of time the units help. So what I had to do, we created a nonprofit. The nonprofit we have, like right now, we would be planning for a gala event we have at the Marriott Hotel City Place on a yearly basis since 2018. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to do the event for the past 2 years. But thank God we still managed to donate as much as we can.
And where do those donations go to?
Anyone that walks to our door say they cannot afford it, we try to work with them. Sometimes I help them to purchase. I said, if you can purchase the hair, I'll offer you my service. So a lot of time, my time is free, and they're very grateful.
Yeah. How many people would you say that you've helped through your
A
foundation?
lot, many. Bunny Lovett is one of them. She's very grateful and very thankful.
Yeah, and you create relationships with these clients. I remember you called her like your sister.
Yes, they all call me sisters. They like family.
Yeah, that's very awesome. Okay. Well, I want to again just kind of direct the conversation here, as I know that we have some people who are watching this during their lunch break. We appreciate it. We're going to try, Evelyn and I, if not answer your questions, direct you in the right area. I know that Evelyn, like me, is not a licensed physician or dermatologist, but we know that there are plenty in the West Palm Beach County, South Florida area. I met a couple of the dermatology professionals through the course of this study. We talked to Nicole Hostaba, who's in the story, and also Dr. Miranda Rosenberg. She's a board licensed dermatologist here with a practice off of Village Drive in West Palm Beach. If you want to go stop by the hair doctor, she's in the Wellington Mall. But the main topic here, telogen effluvium, it's a big word, TELOGEN EFFLUVIUM. It's a mouthful, but it's another word for a type of hair shedding caused by stress. And the reason why we wanted to do this story is because, Evelyn, you said you noticed it as well, increase in people coming into doctors' offices, salons, complaining that they have this strange hair loss, what they thought is hair loss, and they can't really tie it to anything else. You said, have you, correct me if I'm wrong, have you seen those clients come through?
Yeah, many of them been coming through. Some of them can be simply because they lost their jobs, or they worrying about the economy, or they worrying about their family. So many people using family members. It caused by so many different things. It's hard to place your hands on it. So I would like to collaborate with the doctors that you have in the story. I would definitely refer those patients to them.
Definitely. So the best thing that people can do is, if they feel like something is off, men or women, just go call a doctor, make an appointment. And then beyond that, while you're waiting, because we mentioned that there's that waiting period of like 3 months for that hair to come back when you're dealing specifically with the telogen effluvium, Evelyn can hook you up.
Absolutely.
You have clients who are not only women, right? You deal with men too?
I dealt with children, men, and women, because there's so many different factors of hair loss.
Yeah, men, women, all ages. Yeah.
Yes.
And as we showed the link earlier, there's different types of hair loss. I want to pull that up one more time so people can see that, it's a multifaceted topic that we're talking about. There is the telogen effluvium, but there's also the different types of alopecia that I was also talking about earlier. Let's stay on the telogen effluvium on the bottom of the screen there, so we can just read what it says there. The telogen effluvium, it's when more hairs than usual move into that telogen phase. Remember, I said there's multiple phases of hair growth. The resting phase is telogen, and it sheds. So you may notice more hair falling out than usual. Telogen effluvium, often caused by physical or psychological triggers, and often resolves itself spontaneously. So again, it comes back. But as you scroll through, you see there's different kinds of hair loss. There's physical hair loss when you're pulling out your hair. That's trichotillomania. And then there's also different kinds of alopecias, and those run the whole gamut. So I learned and focused on just one of those, but I also learned through the process that there's a lot. So these dermatologists spend a lot of time, learning, and Evelyn as well spends a lot of time just trying to help these people emotionally and, aesthetically deal with what's going on, because she's again, as she mentioned, a non-surgical hair replacement expert, so to speak, in the cosmetology realm. So she's seen a lot in 25 years. I can tell you that.
I have.
And part of what she does too, again, making those connections with people. We talked about her foundation earlier, but also again, she says that she's kind of a therapist, because people come in not knowing. Sometimes they go to you first before they go to their dermatologist, and you have to be willing to direct them in the right direction. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a lot, but it's definitely a thing, is what I've learned. At first, when I heard about this story, I was scratching my head. I was like, "What? Your hair falling out from COVID?" We've heard of all kinds of the long-term effects of COVID. People feeling fatigued or having like brain fogs, or all kinds of lingering symptoms. But this was something that's new. It's not directly from COVID, but COVID, I think we can all agree, is a stressful situation, and stress is a major trigger for this telogen effluvium. Another thing I learned, and Evelyn, you can correct me on this too if it's wrong, but shedding hair is a normal thing. If we comb or brush your hair in the morning, the human body naturally sheds hair. It's a natural process. So
We naturally shed 100 to 400 hair a day.
there
Yes.
you go. So don't
Yes.
be alarmed. But when we're talking about kind of massive hair loss, when you people who are going through radiation, we talked about that kind of hair loss, or the telogen effluvium, like in this story, you're going to be seeing clumps of hair coming out, and that's when you should definitely be alarmed. But the good news is the help is out there. There's Evelyn's out there. There's Dr. Rosenberg's out there. There's CPAs like Nicole Hastaba, who we talked to out there. And also, yes, the regrowth process, if you're not insured, it can be expensive. But thankfully, there's people doing charitable work in the community like Evelyn. She mentioned her galas that are going on. Hopefully, they're going to be getting back online now that we're navigating vaccinations and mask policies and social distancing and all that. But you want to get back to helping people, I'm sure, Evelyn.
I do. We hoping 2022 the gala would be back at the same location, the Marriott Hotel City Place. Right now, we just want everyone to be safe and protect each other.
Okay, I don't want to waste too much of your guys' lunch break, but I just want to rehash one more time. If you are watching, thank you for joining us. Feel free to bounce your questions off us. If we don't answer them here, I'll be sure to pop back in the comments and get you an answer. But we want to thank Evelyn for spending her time out of her day. I know you're busy. Every time I go in your salon, there's tons of clients in there. But if people are interested in seeing you or setting up an appointment, where's the best place they can go, or how can they reach you?
The best place to go is on our website, because a lot of time we're busy. The phone is not answered in a timely manner. They can go to www.thehairdoctor.info. They'll find all our social media pages, everything they need to know about us. Today is Giving Tuesday. Thank you for mentioning the nonprofit. Did you know that? Yes.
Giving Tuesday, it's a big deal. Lots of people celebrating Black Friday, but the festivities start earlier on in the week too. So if you want to give back to a good local nonprofit, helping people recover physically and emotionally from the effects of hair loss and shedding, like Bonnie, who we met in our story, hey, give Evelyn a call or log on to her website, thehairdoctor.info. You also have a Facebook page. You're all over social media. So if you look for her, she's not hard to find. But thank you so much. What you're doing for the people in this community, it really does help.
Thank you, Chris. I learned a lot through your story. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you, Asia, for being behind the scenes with the links. If you guys want to replay this video, it's going to live both on the WFLX Fox 29 Facebook page and also WPTV. Evelyn, feel free to share it on your social media as well.
I will definitely.
And until next time, everyone, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you. Have a great one.